And welcome to another episode of Who Gives a Who. I'm Luke. That's a hungry Kyle.
It is. I'm right after class, so I have to
Yep.
try and eat when I can.
Believe it or not, we have day jobs, and sometimes they get in the way of regularly scheduled programming, and we got to find a place to eat in between, and occasionally it's here. But
Mm-hmm.
last pod we recorded, we had yet to clinch the Players' Shield.
Still
Not
had yet to play Madison, yeah.
Still yet to play Madison, which
10th final day.
10th final day, cold, rainy day up there. And the boys performed spectacularly. They did what needed to be done, got us that win.
It was a little too close for my comfort, but
Too close for my comfort.
still did it.
Still did it.
Especially with both North Carolina and NoCo winning on that day. So if we wouldn't have won, we would have gotten second or even third if we would have lost. But yeah.
And then be traveling this week more than likely.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So maybe travel wouldn't have been the worst thing, looking ahead to the weather for Saturday. Today in Omaha, it hit about 70 degrees, and Saturday in Omaha, it's going to be a high of 40 with snow and rain predicted.
Oh, 40. I think you're a little too high.
Oh, did it drop?
Oh, it's been around 37, 38 from what I've seeing. But what has changed is originally it was saying snow. Now the snow looks to be pushed off to the evening. So with it being a 4:30 game, a little bit earlier game, we might avoid some snow.
But are we avoiding the rain?
It doesn't say rain either. Right now, it's changed a bunch the past week. So who knows?
All right. So that's positive news because it's been changing over the past day and a half. So
Yeah.
I know a game's going to happen. I'm not optimistic about the weather in which the game is going to be held.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about that right now or if we want to do a little bit more recap first, but that is something to talk about.
I mean, Rich is, as always, has put out a fantastic article with a recap of the Madison game. So if you want a full recap there, that's going to be your best spot for it. I was in attendance. The atmosphere amongst the visiting supporters was fantastic. Home supporters were a little perturbed. Wisconsin had lost to Iowa earlier. And it was just cold, rainy. Like, it was still a great attended game, but Parliament definitely carried some weight up there, which was great to be a part of. And visiting with the players after the win, clinching the Players' Shield. Gary was in attendance. All the players were out. Met some of Dom's coaches, his past coaches, his collegiate coaches, which was kind of a neat thing that they're traveling. Apparently not Milwaukee based, so it's a little bit easier for them.
Yeah.
But it definitely good to see that, the support wasn't just coming from the fans based in Omaha, but support was coming in from all over.
That's awesome.
The guys were just thrilled after that. I probably harassed some of them too much on what their favorite meal to cook was, because since Jake Kroll's prep excursion during the pandemic, we haven't had quality cooking content from the team. And finding out that not only is Luca an amazing pasta chef, Shivani showed some pictures of his plated food, and that boy should have a Michelin-starred restaurant by now.
Oh, dang.
It, like, real pretty. But Eddie swears to me that he makes the best chicken Cajun pasta out there. So
Interesting.
yeah, I feel like we've got to, depending on who's around in the off season, we got to maybe test some of these out.
Test that, yeah.
Yeah, but huge win, guys coming in high spirits, and uh, the team hosted a pep rally at Berchin this past Tuesday, where whole team came out, get food, great environment, engage with the fans. Dom and JP both said some words to the crowd, and I mean, granted, it's free food, so nobody would be sad about that for them. Uh, but they seem to be in very good spirits, and that's something we've talked about at nauseum so far this season, is just the mentality. And these guys seem ready and determined for Saturday. They seem committed, knowing that their opponent was Charlotte last time Charlotte came to Omaha. It was a positive result. That was our 10th win in a row, correct?
No, that was our 10th home win in a row.
10th home win. Okay.
It was just after we had drawn North Carolina, so it was our first game after that draw.
Okay. So it was still very positive result for Union. Charlotte played obviously last weekend, beat Greenville out.
That was a close game for a lot of it. They went down early and then had to come back and got a bunch of goals in the second half. So it was a good test for them. And I mean, I honestly, they played us close the last time too. So
They did. A close game there. The travel, the weather, I think all work in our favor. The only thing that worries me particularly is they've got the momentum coming in, having not had a week off. That's something that's always kind of worried me in the past. But I think the guy's mentality is such at this point in the year that it's not a significant concern.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to consider. I think there's a lot of factors here. We talked a little bit about the weather to kind of expound on that. You know, we have players from all over, and so does Charlotte. So I don't know who exactly is going to handle the weather better, because you have someone on Charlotte like Miguel Ibarra, who played in Minnesota for years, right? Like, he's used to it, and you have people on our team that haven't really experienced it as much. But I think it's more even than we might think.
So, Kyle, are you remembering the games at Caniglia?
That is true. We had 2 games at Caniglia this year, but that's been a while ago now, and not everyone was here by then. Lagos definitely wasn't.
Yeah, Lagos definitely was not. So yeah, to your point, like, we do have some guys who haven't handled the weather, and this week has not been great for training for the weather. We were 80 degrees Monday, been 60s and 70s,
yeah,
up till today, and tomorrow's where it really starts dropping off. And so that doesn't give us a whole lot of training advantage comparatively to Charlotte. They'll be coming in and theoretically training at the same conditions as we are.
I mean, the one thing that might be a bit of a benefit, though, is we have people who have played in a very similar situation. There was a prior semifinal in Omaha in very bad conditions that we won 6-1. So we have had some people who played in that with Shido and JP. So, and I mean, and I would say Connor, but he's hurt. So unless we see him, which I don't think so. So, uh, you know, there is some experience to still be taken, right? So it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens with the weather being a factor.
So yeah, I mean, as you said, well, Eddie signed last year, or was he signed 2 years ago?
I think he was just signed last year.
But you have Yoskar, who's been in those conditions.
Mm-hmm.
You have, as you said, JP, which we need to get into a little bit more on JP. No, and Shido, who involved there.
And I mean, we have some like Dion played in Iceland. You know, I think he's a little familiar with it.
Half played in Germany, played in Norway. Like we've got guys who are familiar with it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And guys who played in Northern Tier and in collegiate level. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not something. Well, also Luca played in that game.
Oh, yeah, he did, didn't he? I think so. At least I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Luca was featured in that because I remember at least. Hopefully, I'm not projecting memories, but I remember cussing him out at the end of the game.
One sec. Let's see. Pull it up here. He wasn't the one who got the red card, though. No, that was Shenfield. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was. He was one of their starting center backs.
So
played the whole game.
Looking at the history of people who played in semifinals in cold weather in Omaha, we've got at least 4 that will be available.
Uh-huh. Oh man, I completely forgotten about that. Great poll.
Yep. The next thing I think before we really dive too much into Saturday's game, the team of the year as voted on by the players was released. And I'm not going to break down the entire, but we had 2 notable features on that. And this is voted on by the players of USL League One. JP, who took up the captain's armband relatively early in the season, and Dion, which just talking around, Dion surprised some people, which is fair. Dion didn't shine quite as much in the early season, but the way he's picked up in the second half of the season has been illuminating.
I mean, I would almost say because we had Dion last year as well, right? Like I don't think he was playing as well last year either.
No, like he was not to me a standout player last year. He definitely brought that home veteran.
He brought a lot of energy. Yeah.
Yep. But he wasn't one of our top 3 players last year, in my opinion. And even beginning of this
playing
season,
to the level he's playing now. And yeah, even at the beginning of this season, like you said, like it was definitely like in the middle stretch when we really started playing well, is Dion really started playing well too.
Yeah, and Dion really has been that linchpin for us in the second half of the season, providing just when you have him and Shaft on the field together, it's just amazing to watch. And Dion is able to work the ball so well, put it into space. No, he's been getting up there with assists, but just the way he starts plays as well has been so good. Mm-hmm. And JP has kind of fallen into that Dalton trap. He's been quiet this season for a lot of it.
Like I mean, you say that, but he's still, I should pull it up. He's still showing up on the stat sheet quite a bit, I will say.
Yeah, but he's not necessarily standing out on the field as, one of the guys that you're looking at to get the goals, looking at to get the assists. But he's contributing in so many more ways, and his leadership on the field, I is just something that I can't personally put words to it, but when he fully accepted the captaincy and is really in that start of our uh, fantastic spell to end the season.
Mm-hmm.
He really assumed that leadership. You started to see the younger players look to him. Even some of the older players start looking to him, and just really understanding that his leadership role was more than just he's been here for this is his fourth season here.
Mm-hmm.
Like that he deserves that armband, and everything he's done in the seasons leading up have really worked to his advantage in getting him the resume to deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, he's I think I should double check this. Uh he's like all he had 6 goals this year. Even in this, if we just talk about stats, he had 6 goals this year. He's currently third on our all-time list of goals. He he had a couple assists. Like he's doing it. He's kind of doing it all, and like you were talking about, like being able to command and marshal everyone as well. And so I think that he's just been just really the kind of the piece that makes it tick a lot of the times. I mean,
Yeah,
kind of him and Connor and the other people. Like you have a core of people, and like he's definitely the main part of that core, especially since he's taken the armband. Yeah.
yeah. Um, I will say if we counted preseason goals, he would probably be our leading goal scorer.
Yeah. I mean, the last like what year or so he hasn't scored as many preseason, but the first couple of years he did.
Yeah, first couple of years, there's one. Was it 21 that he scored only like 2 goals in the regular season, but he scored like 10 in preseason?
I think it was 21. Yeah.
Yeah. So he his ceiling is exceptionally high,
Hmm.
and it just kind of like jumps me back to 2020, um, and just talking with Jay, watching footage with Jay, and then asking him like, because JP really kind of came out of the woodwork. He had his appendix removed, which led to voice
Hmm.
in our first game, uh, and like asking Jay why he signed JP, and like the the way Jay kind of described it, and I'm paraphrasing because I didn't record it, I didn't write it down, but it was,
Hmm.
you know, JP himself at that point wasn't an exceptional player, but he can get up, and his ability to get ahead on the ball in any situation uh, led him to get signed.
Hmm.
And if just for his heading ability to get him signed for Union Omaha, I mean that's been worth it. But the way he's grown into the game, way he's grown into the team, uh, it has just been absolutely amazing. I don't think from year one to now, any player that has stayed in the league that has grown as much as he has.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been really incredible to watch, and it does make me think. Start a little bit. Start thinking after the season, like, oh, shit, is he going to be here next year?
Like, if he's here next year, I'm upset.
I
Like,
mean, and unless he just really likes it here, like I'd be happy if he just really liked it here. But
yeah, but if he really liked it here and we were going up to championship, sure.
we might still be in the near future. We don't know.
26 at the earliest from the latest rumors. Um,
Yeah.
so those two making team of the year, player voted
Mhm.
team of the year. I think we were the only team with two on
No,
there.
there were a number of teams with 2.
Okay.
Sorry to burst your bubble.
Come on. I don't have the graphic up.
Let me check here. Because I know Lexington somehow had 2. Like I understand Diouf, he really came on well. I didn't really
Yeah.
understand their backline player, Robertson. North Carolina had two from Metz again and Alex Anderson, and then NoCo had two, Trevor Amon, of course, and Arthur Rogers.
All right.
So yeah, I don't really get Lexington's two, but I fully understand the top three teams each having two makes a lot of sense. We were so close there at the end.
So I'd have to look at the Lexington stats, but the other names you list, I'm not
Yeah,
at all surprised. Like
yeah.
I think fans would have voted them the same.
Yeah, and then the other ones, there's Akale from Tormenta, Vinyals from Richmond, and Pack from Charlotte. Which,
Yeah.
like, even though Richmond did poorly, I can see putting Vinyals in there, and then the other two make a lot of sense. So
Yeah. Pack has been hell of a player this year. So,
yeah. Hmm.
uh, well, let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
Uh, with
We gotta score four more on him, right?
it's four more on him. This is the. Can you do it at a Saturday at 4:30 while the Huskers are playing in Werner Park while it's snowing?
While the
Eh,
Huskers are
eh,
playing,
it's
while a bunch of kids parties are happening, while God, what else is happening that day? Like, so apparently everything is happening that day.
Yeah, the Huskers are playing at the same time. You've got what is it? The state club tournament, youth
State
club
club
tournament.
tournament. Yep.
Um, something else happening. Is there a volleyball game at the same time?
I don't think
Like,
it'd be that early, but it seems like everything is happening that day
yeah.
and right around that time. So that, like, just heard a lot of people being like, I just there's other things I can't. So we'll see what attendance is like. Hopefully it's good.
Well, even if attendance isn't, the diehards are going to be there. Uh,
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
My voice probably won't exist after the fact, but especially considering the short lead time and it's a semifinal, I don't think Charlotte is sending a whole lot of fans. I'm not sure Charlotte
Yeah.
has a whole lot of fans to send at this point, considering the MLS moving in on their territory.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for them. I really do feel bad for them. Like, it's like the San Diego situation, except they've been able to stick around and they
They
haven't
built
had
it.
to.
Yep.
Yeah, like they built up their stadium. So like I'm I'm happy for them that they're still in the league, but it is a really tough situation.
I mean, their owner's still an asshole,
That is
but
true.
the fact like you have a team that has been there for years and is still somehow functioning is definitely kind of an interesting bit in the battle of
Hmm.
MLS versus USL.
Yeah.
Uh, we've had a week off to rest,
Hmm.
as mentioned. I think everybody except Connor is back from injury.
Healthy.
Connor was still on crutches at
Oh.
the
Oh, I
so
didn't know that he was on crutches. Oof.
yeah. Um, so I want to say we start the same lineup we did in Madison.
So I'm debating because I think it's true up top. I think we start Noe. I think we start Lagos, and then we bring like Brito and Gallardo in when need be.
Yep.
I only wonder about putting Luca in. He's one we talked about. He has that experience playing in that condition. So
Duh.
it didn't go well for him last time, but he does have that experience. Um, so I'm curious
But
if we put him in and then push out Marco, and then like have save Shaft to go on when he needs to go on and provide a spark.
Shaft is all into that cryotherapy. He's played in Norway. Like, I mean, he's probably played soccer on skis.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious. I'm just curious if you bring Luca in, because you had been playing Luca even during the win streak, and then you had to switch it up. And Marco's been doing great. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just that like he had been playing more as a left back for most of the season until that point.
So here's the question. Because Shaft has been playing either side.
Mm-hmm.
Dion's capable of playing either side.
On either side.
You move Shaft up as a winger and play Lagos.
Yeah, but my question was going to be who do you pull then? But I mean, I think that's a possibility that you can work with. Even if it's like that's your sub move maybe,
Yeah.
or if you start Shaft and you're like, okay, but we want to sub, but we still want to like keep him in, get that pressure. You can move him up with a sub.
So one of the things that is the hardest thing to do in a game is sub a defender, do a straight sub
Mm-hmm.
on a defender. That's
Yeah.
where, to me, you leave somebody who is very capable on defense, start them, and then if Luca needs it, you just do a shift.
Yeah.
And if it looks like Luca can play a full game, then you leave him on and do the up top sub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I think there's like kind of those three permutations, and we'll see one of those three permutations.
Yeah. I think we can agree Dos Santos starts.
Dos Santos is up top. Nuhu's in back. JP and Pedro will play the 6 and the 8 in the middle. Probably Luis will play the 10, right? Like those other spots kind of pick themselves. It was more like the wingers and the backs.
So Dos Santos to start the season was not impressing, but again, like Dion, really stepped in, started picking up there, and like, as much as he still worries me in certain spots, his ability to create space, find the goals when needed, create space so other goals can be found, like, has just really been beneficial for us in the later half of the season.
Like seeing a true like big man striker work.
Yeah.
Which we've never really had before, right? Because even Greg wasn't like a big guy striker, right? Like he's a little bit bigger, but he wasn't fully that. He was more of a poacher.
6'1", 6'2", somewhere there.
Yeah. So like it's definitely a different style that we're not as used to,
Yeah.
and it is really interesting to just watch it happen.
Yeah. And he's no Adebayo Akinfenwa, but no, he could be at that point someday. Uh, what really worries me is like the pitch quality. Granted, this has been a better growing week, like better maintenance week than I thought it would be. We may actually have had some root growth into the infield if they laid down. It looks like they laid down the turf last week.
Yeah, I think it was there when we were there on the weekend. It was in.
So that's definitely something that is kind of bit us in the ass in the past. In 21 when we were hosting,
It was like playing on sand. Yeah.
Yeah, the infamous sand pitch.
Uh-huh.
That the Greenville will forever bemoan.
Come on. We were number one. They beat us on it once. We couldn't do it again.
Yeah, but I really hope that the pitch has had a chance to settle. We've had some good growing days. Next week, assuming a win on Saturday, pitch recovery is going to be a lot harder.
I was gonna say I didn't know how long those would last, but yeah. Oh boy, yeah, it gets below freezing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, Thursday it gets down to freezing. Right now it's saying Friday and Saturday are at least like upper 50s, but that's still, so far out.
Yeah.
But
so definitely some worry, assuming positive result this weekend. We need to focus on this weekend.
We need a win. That was the other thing I was going to mention. And I mean, their mentality, as we talked about, has been good. But I know we just beat this team, but we still need to lock it in because they are a dangerous team. They beat us and they drew us earlier in the season, and we've just beat them this once. So like, they're fast. They have really good players, and it was a close game, right? If you remember, we scored. They literally came down and scored right away.
And then it was a 45 seconds.
Yeah, and then it was just like a battle until we finally got one to go up 2-1, and then finally got the like penalty and final goal at the end. So like,
assuming a very tough game, either both pull a goal, ends in a draw. This is an elimination tournament. Who are we putting out there as our 5?
Oh, I think JP takes one because he's taken some throughout this year.
Yeah.
Luis, but it was Steven who took one as well, right? Because he took the one against Charlotte for his hat trick. So I definitely think JP and Steven.
JP and Steven. I think Luis would be one.
I think he might be. I don't know his history with penalties as much.
Yeah.
I think Noe, if Noe's in.
Yeah. Noe for sure. Do we really do the ballsy move and have Shido start the penalties?
Shido too. Oh, I don't know. I mean, he's got good distribution. I don't know how that translates to penalties. I haven't really seen him take one. So
that's mindfuckery at its best.
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not quite sure who the 5th would be. If it would be like a Pedro or if it'd be a defender. Maybe there's a defender who's a pretty good PK taker.
Well, like Dion or Shaft, I think would both be good contenders. Assuming they're on. I don't know Luca, Marco, or Lexi's track record. Depends if they've taken any at all. But
yeah, or like Brito or Gallardo. I don't remember. Did Brito take one against Chicago?
I think Brito did, and he sunk his. I think.
I mean, we didn't miss one against Chicago, did we?
Don't think so.
Trying to remember here. Go back to the past. Is it going to tell me? Okay. Dion took the winning one against Chicago. Yep. Gio. Oh, poor Gio. Dalton, Noe missed his. Emir and Ugo were the other takers. Yeah. So Dion was 6th.
But Dion's also in the best form of his life.
Yeah.
Well, at least debatably.
Well, at least definitely here. Definitely his best form here.
Yeah.
So I mean,
But
I could
that's
see it.
something that they've got to be running through. They got to be watching tape on
Oh yeah.
Pack. Really have to be looking at, okay, if we can't break them down, if we can't win it in regulation, then you start. But you also have to start looking at what are the subs going to be. Will our
Mm-hmm.
starters be on the pitch for that? So you could see
Mm-hmm.
Steinwasser taking.
It's true.
Uh,
I mean, I do think we have enough to win in regulation. We did just beat them. I think we can prove it, and we can beat them in regulation. But it is definitely something that you got to consider. You got to think about.
yeah, it's going to be a tough one for sure.
Yeah,
And something really have to go through. Um, Score prediction.
I've got at least through like the first half, maybe for 60 minutes, a tough game, like a 1-1 through that point of time. We get another maybe in the like second part of the second half, and then we maybe get a late consolation as they're trying to push forward. So I'm thinking 3-1.
Yeah. Buy your tickets now.
You would.
I don't think I need to say mine anymore.
Okay, I mean
But
that's fair. That's fair.
yeah,
As long as it's the same, then
yeah.
it's whatever.
But get your tickets. Get your friends to get tickets. Um, Parliament is doing their tailgate at Pint
Pint
9.
9. It is the chili cook-off one. Chili cook-off
Uh,
tailgate.
I believe BHC will still be doing theirs, and there'll still be tailgates in the parking lot as well. Might be a day for whiskey. Warm yourself up, makes you feel better. But really would encourage anybody who hasn't already told all of their friends, family to show up to it. This is going to be a game you want to be at. Having been at the playoff games in 21, it really is a special experience. And having been at playoff game in Chattanooga, the
You know, even
the
when it's freezing, even when it's freezing cold weather like it was against Tucson, it was still a blast, right?
yeah, and there's coffee at Hot Dog Nation, so coffee and hot chocolate at Hot Dog Nation. Hopefully, they have more options this year, but uh, traditionally, it's always been Hot Dog Nation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and really, just whatever anybody listening to this can do to just even if somebody's not there, get them to watch it online, get them to watch it on their phone. Getting the numbers, the ESPN numbers have definitely helped in the movement to find investors and find sponsorship for a stadium in Omaha. So
And
getting people to watch the game.
and I mean, I think there's a contract negotiation coming up soon too for broadcast. So like
Yeah,
it gives the league more power to do that. I mean, it's just a very quick thing. Speaking of the interest, not only in Union Omaha but across the country so far, as we've had Antelope Valley in California and Texoma in the Texas
so
Oklahoma border uh, announce interest and plans. So the league is growing, and so building on that and continuing to give it eyes is really helpful.
for sure. Um, and on a personal note, just kind of with the mass shooting in Maine, um, near to where I grew up, played soccer against the schools in Lewiston regularly throughout high school. There's still a lot of uncertainty there, but if you can reach out to Red Cross, there are a number of their organizations out there really supporting the mental health of people either affected directly or indirectly. Uh, it's a terrible tragedy. Anytime a mass shooting happens, this one particularly hits home to me. So if you can, donate to the victims, families affected, communities affected. We'll try and share links as I find more, still relatively recent, but you know, there's a lot more to be said, which I won't go into on here. But Kyle, one last question for you.
Yeah.
Who gives a hoot?
We do.
Who?